Hi, today I'm going to be going over InTASC and NAFME standards. InTASC stands for Interstate Teachers Assessment and Support Consortium, and NAFME stands for National Association for Music Educators. I am training to be a music educator, so that is my SPA that I have selected. InTASC standards are number one, learner development, sorry. Teacher understands how the learner grows and develops. Number two, learning differences. The teacher is aware of cultural and inclusive diversities and knows how to address learning styles. Number three, learning environments. Teacher uses individual and collaborative learning, not just always individualized and not always collaborative, but both styles depending on the types of environments that are most conducive for the learners. Content knowledge. Teacher understands concepts and structures of discipline, of the discipline that they are studying, not of how to discipline students, but they understand the discipline that they have studied. Number five, application of content. Teacher knows how to connect concepts using different perspectives that enable critical thinking. So the teacher needs to know how to correctly use their area of study and different concepts so that the students can use those concepts to engage their brains and cause them to have critical thinking to obtain mastery. 6, assessment. Teacher uses multiple methods of assessment. Not everything that a teacher does is going to be assessed in the same way. Sometimes it's quizzes, sometimes it's tests, sometimes it's performance. There's lots of areas of assessment, lots of ways to assess a student's level of mastery. 7, planning for instruction. Teacher plans for rigorous learning goals. This goes back to the critical thinking. Just teaching a student 1 + 1 is 2 is not teaching rigor. That's teaching a formula. That's not even teaching a formula. That's teaching memorization. We need to plan for rigor. We need to plan to keep the students engaged. Instructional strategy. Teacher uses many ways to teach lessons to obtain mastery. Oftentimes, students don't understand the lesson completely off of just one way of teaching. So always having a backup or two will give the best way to ensure mastery. 9, professional learning and ethical practice. Teacher continues to seek professional development and uses evidence to evaluate their practice. So when you go and you learn new techniques through professional development courses, like I would go to Arizona Music Educators Association every February. There's training and there's courses, and I would learn new ideas and new ways to do things. And I would be able to take those back with me and use evidence from the students, like if they are learning their levels of mastery, their enjoyment level, and whatnot, to evaluate if my practice is beneficial or not. And that is not only with new areas of learning, but you can evaluate yourself in any lesson. How did it go? What could you have done better? So the goal is to always be evaluating yourself. Number 10, leadership and collaboration. Teacher takes responsibility for student learning and collaborates with learners, families, and colleagues. Always, always, always take responsibility for the learning of your students. If they are not learning, how is it we can be better? How is it that we can instruct better? How can we come up with new routines, new ways to teach, so that their learning is happening? And collaborating with colleagues is one of my favorite things to do when it comes to teaching new lessons. Having ways that we can teach lessons that engage more than one discipline, more than one standard. It helps the lessons stick. It gives the students something completely different, and they're learning 2 or more standards at one time. And taking these home to their families and collaborating with their families. And if a student is having difficulties with their homework, how can we best work with the families so that the homework can be done a little bit more efficiently? Then when we come to NAFME standards, they've got their standards broken down into 4 categories. First category is labeled creating. So for creating, we have imagine, plan and make, and then evaluate, refine, and present. These are the very first steps in music. Imagining that goes hand in hand with improvisation, making sounds. Plan and make goes into the making of the sounds and planning how we're going to implement them. Evaluate and refine, listening to yourselves, making it better, and then presenting it, which would be into the next area of performing. In performing, we have select, analyze, and interpret the repertoire, how that is done. Number 5 is rehearse, evaluate, and refine the repertoire. And number 6 would be present the repertoire. So as you see, these are just the next steps of the first 3 goals, the first 3 standards. The next 3 are the next step. Then we're going to go into responding. So this is what happens after we've performed. We also get to listen to music, music that we've created, music that other people have created. We get into select and analyze. This is the music that we listen to if we are going to do a project. How do we select music? And how are we analyzing it? How are we interpreting? That is discerning the creator or the performer's intentions. How are we interpreting those? Is the performer's intent the same as the creator's? And then into evaluation, we're judging the quality of the work. Does the work hold up? Is it good? Is it of good quality? Does it hold everything that it needs to when it comes to a theoretical portion? What is the format of the piece? Is it in an ABA form? Is it in ABAC? Is it in theme and variation? How well does it stick to its format? And then the final is connecting, making connections with the music. 10 would be making meaningful connections, which means making connections from the music to things that happen in our lives. I connect with this because when the person was crying in the song, I felt empathy towards them. Or connect it to other disciplines. What other disciplines does music connect to? Well, we can connect music to the ELA, we can connect music to math, we can connect music to nursing and to medical, along with heartbeats and pulses and anxiety levels. So that's just a broader scope of making sure we can make connections with our music. Common themes. Both plan for development. This is the first theme. In InTASC, their standard is based on development, and NAFME has their 4 sections, and each section is it goes off the last section, just like we had. We started with creating and then went into performing and then responding and then connecting, and those all grew off of each other. The next theme that we saw, sorry about that, was application of content. Using the 4 same sections, NAFME standards are organized to learn, then apply the knowledge. Knowledge is not only applied through performance, but also through responding and analyzing and making the connections. Third area that we see a common theme is planning for instruction and strategy. NAFME standards are organized for lesson planning and growth. Each step is based on the previous step, back to those 4 main sections again. And theme 4, I apologize for my computer. NAFME is reflection. NAFME forces the learner to connect the music to other areas of their lives and or areas of study, just as InTASC forces the educator to reflect on their own instruction and to grade themselves. Improving practice and advancing the profession. If used as a rubric, InTASC is set up to guide teachers as they go. If you strictly use this as a rubric, then you always have room to grow, you have room to plan, you understand where you're going, where you're coming from, and how to get better. The final 2 standards of the rubric, as I just called it, tell us how to improve practice and how to advance the profession. The basic things are personal reflection and evaluation and collaboration. If you can reflect and evaluate yourself, you will grow. You're going to improve your practice. And collaboration is the best way to advancing the profession. And these are the references that I've used. And I thank you for your time.